Bangkok's a great city in a great country, but if you're not careful, it'll eat you up and spit you out. And a lot of expats that move here fail. Here are 15 reasons why expats fail. Are you ready to dig into it? Let's go.
Okay, let's go.
Hey, what's up? It's JJ, the Lonely Bull in Asia here on Sukhumvit Road. Right behind me is M-Sphere Mall, and I'm at the craft beer place called Brit Craft Beer. It's happy hour, and I'm enjoying it. So let's talk about ways that expats fail when they move to Bangkok. Number one reason expats fail when they move to Bangkok: they treat it like they're on holiday. I've got a video on this, and I'll post it at the end of this video up here in the corner. So if you want to get a deep dive into this particular one, you can check that video out at the end. But you know, they treat Bangkok like they're on a long vacation instead of living here. They arrive with holiday mode, and it's permanently switched on. Fun nightlife, eating out daily at Western restaurants, no job equals disaster. All right, number two, they underestimate the cost of living. Yes, Thailand is cheaper than in the West, but not if you copy a Western lifestyle. What do I mean by that? Imported goods. If you like to buy merchandise, clothes, even food in restaurants or food in grocery stores, Western food, you're going to pay more for imports. Apartments in expat areas, they tend to be more expensive than if you get away from the expat areas. So if you like living in areas like here, where I'm at in Phrom Phong, or if you're down in Asok, wherever the case may be, you're probably going to pay more. In fact, I can almost guarantee you're going to pay more for rent in these areas than you would when you're farther away in more of a local area. You know, and constant grab rides, even the train will add up. When I was living down in Samut Prakan, it took me an hour and 20 minutes to get to school every day, and that ended up costing about $200 or more a month total in my BTS costs. You know, and it wasn't all just going to school and back, but if I wanted to come down here to Phrom Phong or Asok or Nana and meet some friends, because none of my friends lived where I lived, I had to pay for the train ride. And if you don't get in the train before midnight, then you got to buy a Grab or a taxi or a tuk-tuk or whatever. So all of that really adds up. And you might not even think about it at first. That cost of living shock hits you around month 3 when you finally accumulate 3 months worth of bills every month. Because maybe that first month you think, oh, it's a little high, but you know what, I'll cut back this next month, it'll be okay. And then the next month comes, and there you got a problem again, and then the third month you're thinking, oh crap, I got a serious problem, I'm out of money, or I'm low on my savings that was going to last me a year, and here it is, I'm just getting into month 4 and I'm running out of money. So those things really can weigh and be a major factor. Fail number 3, they do not learn any Thai. So you don't need to be fluent in Thai, but 0 effort equals 0 integration. So the best thing to do is learn some basic Thai. If you learn some basic Thai, it really can open doors for you. It can lower prices at local markets, because if you speak to them in Thai, they know that you actually live here, and they're not so apt to try to scam you thinking you're a foreigner on vacation. That skin tax does exist, guys, whether you want to admit it or not. Learning basic Thai also earns respect from the locals. They appreciate that you're trying to assimilate into their culture. And a lot of expats fail because they stay in that English-speaking vacation tourist bubble, and they don't get out and explore what the real Thailand or the real Bangkok is all about. Now, you can say I'm guilty of that in a way because I live here, but the first year I lived in Bangkok, it was in Samut Prakan, in the south end of Bangkok, in that district. So I was really integrating into the locals. Even though I couldn't speak very well, I was trying, you know. So that's important. At least get out into the local areas. Don't just hang around expats that speak English, because you're not going to grow from that. And kind of going along with that, Fail number 4, they only hang out with other expats. So the expat echo chamber is what I like to call it. You end up being bitter. If you hang out with the same expats that have been here for years and they hang out with only expats, they start complaining about the same things over and over again. That's what I call the echo chamber. You know, same complaints, same drama, same gossip, same negativity. Get outside that bubble. You know, expand your circle of friends to include others than that English-speaking tourist expat that lives here. You know, try to expand your circle of friends to include others. And if you get some negative guys, don't be afraid to knock them out of your circle of friends, because, you know, negativity, if there's only negative energy in your group, there's no room for positive energy. So the sooner you can get rid of the negative, the better off you are. You know, bottom line is you can't thrive in a city where you hide from the culture. So get out and explore and engage in the culture and really live that life. Fail number 5, they party too hard. Yeah, partying's fun, you know. I like to have a beer every now and then, but you can't overdo it. And many expats become that permanent victim. I know of a YouTuber, I've met him once, and he was strung out really bad. I'd heard that he was in a bad way, and a lot of the other expats in this community were kind of shutting him off because he was basically hopeless. He got into that problem and that nightlife where you're, you know, maybe drinking, smoking, taking illicit drugs, whatever the case may be. He got into that problem, and a lot of other expats do that, where they become that victim, that permanent victim. I've seen it happen. I've seen expats fail because they hit the party scenes way too hard. All right, fail number 6, they don't understand the visa rules. Now, to be honest, the visa rules change all the time here in Thailand, so you have to stay on top of things. Many expats fail because they really don't take it seriously. They come and go on a tourist visa thinking they can just bounce back and forth from one country back here into Thailand, and they can do that as many times as they want and there's no issues. Well, it's not like it used to be. So immigration is cracking down, and you need to be aware of that, because there may be a time where you think you live here and you've got a 1-year lease in a condo and all your stuff's here, and you take a trip to Vietnam or the Philippines or wherever, and you come back and they don't let you back in because you took too many trips in and out, or you tried to renew or extend your visa one too many times in a calendar year. Now they're not letting you do that. So you may be stuck. You may have to go back to the country you were just in, and you can't get to your condo, you can't get to your clothes, so what are you going to do? So be aware of the rules, live here on the right visa so you're able to live here long term. You know, don't rely on border runs, and definitely if you're using an agent to get a visa, make sure you check that agent out and do your due diligence, because for every one good agent, there's probably 5 bad ones that are going to give you bad advice, take your money and run, and then you're screwed. Fail number 7, they ignore the local work culture. What do I mean by that? So direct Western communication style can come off as being rude, really. If you can't adapt culturally, you won't last here. Bottom line, you'll be miserable, and the people around you will be miserable too. Also, they think they can work here and not have to pay any taxes. That's another issue. So just be careful. Get the right visa. If you want to work here and you need a work visa, get a work visa. If you're a digital nomad, get the right visa for that too. But remember, you may be liable for taxes here in Thailand. So find a reputable tax person here in Thailand and find out what the laws are and abide by them. Fail number 8, they fall into that cheap rent trap. What do I mean by that? Well, they think, okay, so I can't afford to live here on by a BTS here in Prampong or Asok or Nana and near the BTS, so I'm going to find a condo that's far, far away from the BTS and I'll find it really, really cheap. True, you can do that. Seems smart because you're saving money, right? That until you spend hours of commuting to the tourist areas that you want to party in or want to hang out in or want to go to dinner in. So those costs add up. Like I said before, when I was living in Samut Prakan, I was spending about $200 US dollars a month on my Rabbit card just to use the BTS to get to where I needed to go. So it may seem like a good idea at the time, but you got to weigh the options. You know, if I live here, I'll be paying more in rent, but I'll be paying less in transportation charges, whether it's train, Grab, taxi, whatever the case may be. You could be saving a lot of money that way, and so it's a good trade-off. Basically, cheaper rent becomes an expensive daily headache for you. Before we go any further, only about 20% of the people that watch my videos are subscribers, so check to see if you're subscribed, if you like this content. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. If you want to see content before anybody else, become a member. You can check that out in the description below. It's only 99 cents a month. You see the videos before anybody else does. And make sure you hit the like button, share this, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified when I post new videos. All right, fail number 9, you ready? They date recklessly. So what do I mean by that? So many expats underestimate the cultural differences in dating here in Bangkok or here in Thailand for that matter. Some of you will get taken advantage of, some of you move too fast, and some of you will get trapped in that financial drama where you're helping her, you're helping her kids if she has them, you're helping her family, you got the sick Carabao, whatever the case may be. There's always going to be that issue that might crop up, and if you fall into that trap and you're on a fixed income, you're bound to fail on that. Emotional mistakes become expensive mistakes. All right, fail number 10. They don't build a routine. Without structure, Bangkok becomes chaos. You really need structure. If you don't have a gym to go to every day or every other day or at least a couple of times a week, if you don't have work, if you have no clear goals, all that together equals drifting until you burn out. So you need some kind of routine. You know, me, I have my YouTube channel, so I do that almost every day. I've got my school 4 days a week that I do. I've got friends that we have meetups twice a week. I go to the driving range and hit the golf ball every Saturday. This week I'm going Wednesday and Saturday, so we'll go a couple of times this week. Bangkok rewards discipline and it punishes the lack of it. So get a routine going. It doesn't have to be physical necessarily. You know, spend some time to read a book every day. You know, and I don't mean sit around on the couch and watch TV all day. That's not a routine. So get out and walk. There's so much green area here in Bangkok. Great parks are even right here. Benja Siri Park is right back here. Benja Kitty Park is right around the corner. So you've got so many options to get some great walking in. You know, make a routine out of that. And if you do it early in the morning or later in the evening, it's a little cooler, so you're not going to sweat like a pig like you would if you came out in the middle of the day. All right, fail number 11. They ignore the heat. They think they can handle it, right? Well, the weather's not a joke. Bangkok's the hottest city in the world, a lot of people have said. I've read that in more than one place. The heat can affect your energy, your mood, your productivity, and also your wallet. If you're out and about during the day, you may think you can handle it, and the next thing you know, you're sweating, you got to change clothes 3 times a day, take 2 or 3 showers a day. All that adds up, and it could really affect your state of mind. So if you don't like the heat and you're thinking of moving to Bangkok, you might want to think again. Fail number 12, they don't save any money. Every weekend is a new temptation. As a matter of fact, there are no real weekends in Bangkok. Every day's a weekend here. It's a city that never sleeps, and it's a city that doesn't care what day of the week it is. There's a party going on every day of the week, every night. So whether it's rooftop bars, beach trips, going out to malls and buying expensive clothes, or expensive gadgets or merchandise at some of these high-end malls. There's hundreds of them here in Bangkok. You might think, oh, I'll save money next month. Well, next month turns to the next month after that, turns to the next month after that. You know, a lot of expats hit zero in their savings and then they panic, you know, because they're partying, they're living their life, they're living their Western life here in Bangkok, and before they know it, they're in week 2 or week 3 of their month and they've spent their budget already. So now what are they going to do for that last week or two until they get paid again or until they get some sort of income again? Bangkok's only cheap if you're disciplined. You know, fail number 13, they expect Bangkok or Thailand to change for them, not for them to change for Bangkok or Thailand. I see that everywhere. I saw that in the Philippines. Don't expect people to change and assimilate to what your Western lifestyle is. You need to assimilate to their lifestyle and their culture. The sooner you do that, the sooner you understand that, the happier you're going to be, and the happier people around you are going to be as well. You know, I hear this all the time from expats. Oh, Bangkok's nothing like it is at home. Of course it's not. What did you expect? It's a country halfway around the world with a completely different culture. Asian culture is nothing like Western culture. If you want to live here, you need to learn to adapt and change and assimilate to their culture. The sooner you do that, like I said, the happier you're going to be. All right, fail number 14. Expats don't research neighborhoods. They look online, they watch YouTubers, and they say, oh, this looks like a nice neighborhood. I'm going to move there sight unseen. The first condo I see online, I'm going to put a deposit down, and I'm going to move there. Before they even figure out what it's like living in that neighborhood. You know, living in the wrong area will really affect your entire experience here in Bangkok. So don't just go sight unseen. I always say, if you're going to move here, visit here first. You know, touch grass, boots on the ground, so to speak. Don't just focus on one area. Check out different areas and stay at a hotel in those areas or Airbnb if you can. You know, stay for a couple weeks each area and find out which area is the best for you. And then you can make a decision. Some people choose too touristy, some people choose too local, maybe too expensive or too isolated. You know, whatever's right for you, but find the best combination of those things and find what best fits you before you make that decision and sign that lease. You know, the Bangkok neighborhood choice equals a happy lifestyle choice. You know, I lived 1 year in Samut Prakan. I was happy, it was great. I was isolated from my friends, so it took a bit to get to where they were if I wanted to meet with them. But it allowed me to kind of focus on me and, you know, save money and just enjoy life being out there with the locals a little bit. Now I'm in Phrom Phong and I absolutely love it. You know, I've visited Phrom Phong forever, and this is my favorite community. So I'll be here for a couple of years, and then who knows? You know, maybe I'll decide to change direction a little bit. All right, finally, fail number 15. And before we get to that, make sure you hit the like button, share and subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell too, so you get notified when I post new videos. All right, are you ready for fail number 15? Why expats fail moving here to Bangkok. They fall for scams, and they also fall for bad friend groups. So some expats really latch onto the wrong crowd. These are the crowds like I talked about earlier, the ones that complain about everything, the ones that are always negative, the ones that have that victim attitude. So they're always looking for handouts. They're always looking for freebies from you. You know, they act like they're your friend, but they're really not. They're looking for that little bit of money to help them along because they've got that negative victim attitude, and they're always going to be the victim, and they're always going to need help. So you got to get away from them. You know, if you latch onto that wrong crowd, the partiers, the hustlers, the toxic groups, if you're in that group, get out of those groups as soon as you can. If you move here, don't get in them. Learn to find those red flags right away. They'll show up pretty quickly. You'll know. Bangkok is amazing, but you can't do it alone. You need good people around you. I've got 2 really good groups of friends here in Bangkok, and I trust them. They're higher class people. They're not negative. They're not hustlers, except for in pool maybe. But they're just good people. And so I like being around them, and it's really a joy. The wrong influences lead to the wrong lifestyles. And that comes out to another thing I want to talk about. Be careful who you watch and listen to on YouTube. Not all YouTubers are telling you the truth. You could have both ends of things. You could have a YouTuber that tells you everything is perfect here. It's unicorns and rainbows and sunshine and candy cane lane, and everything is perfect here in Bangkok. And that's not necessarily true. There's a lot of great things about Bangkok, but there's some not so great things about it. You have to know that. And you got the other YouTubers that all they do is bitch and complain about Bangkok or Thailand, and everything is negative. And it makes me wonder, why the hell are they still here? Or if they're not here, why are they still talking about Thailand? Or why are they still talking about Bangkok if they've left? So you have to take all of that with a grain of salt, and don't just watch my channel. Don't just watch one or two YouTubers. You know, open up a little bit, watch several, and kind of learn which ones are the legitimate ones, which ones aren't, which ones are good for what you're looking for, which ones aren't. And you're going to find out fairly quickly which ones to follow, which ones not to follow. Hopefully, I'm one of the ones you follow. Hopefully, you don't unsubscribe to my channel. I like to think that I keep it real. All right, there's my list. Let me know in the comments below what you think. If I've missed anything. I thought about making a longer list, but I mean, this is going to be a pretty long video anyway. So if you've come to the end, thank you. If you're wondering about different things in Thailand, check out my videos or my playlist down below here. I'll tell you all about Thailand. And like I said before, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And as always, live life, my friend. Sabai, and we'll talk to you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.